the largest third-party logistics solutions providers. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Just having a look at what's happening in India. How was last year for you with the pandemic in full effect? What were the challenges and how did you emerge from it?
Yes, good morning, and thank you for having us over. So obviously the pandemic, we had an extended lockdown in India through most of the second quarter of the year. But post that, as we started opening up, I think we saw a pretty strong resurgence in our business. Obviously, logistics is very critical to a comeback across the economy. And so I think we saw a significant improvement in the third quarter across all the end markets. And I think the fourth quarter that consolidated, it's a big festive season in India. And so we started seeing a really sharp uptick in automotive and other capital goods as well. So overall, I think a very strong recovery in the economy starting the third quarter onwards.
Rampraveen, if we get another wave, as we're getting evidence of right now, how does that affect your plans?
Well, obviously, I think we are seeing resurgence across multiple states in India. Mumbai, of course, and Maharashtra itself is a big area of concern. But by and large, I think the administration across all regions is well abreast of the issues to be dealt with. And of course, for us as an industry and us as a company, we are putting a lot of focus on safety immediately. So we have significantly expanded our safety protocols, both in terms of our trucking operations as well in terms of our warehousing operations. And we continue to monitor the situation very carefully. We also put in efforts to accelerate vaccination of our own employees, and help them get vaccinated a lot faster. So there are short-term actions which we are implementing to mitigate the impact and reduce the risk for our employees. Broadly, I think it will. We are going to continue to see waves. So really, it's incumbent on all of us, right, both government and private sector and citizens as a whole, to actually take precautions and be cautious about it.
Can you talk us a little bit more about the ramping up then of vaccine logistics capacity at your business to help with the overall vaccine rollout?
Yeah, sure. So as I think you mentioned, really 16 million people have already received vaccines. That's still a small fraction of the overall population of India. I think there is, the government has recently opened up vaccination for everybody who's above 45 years. And so we do expect to start seeing a significant growth in vaccination across, March was a very strong uptick, and I think we'll start seeing that continue to accelerate. From a logistics industry perspective, I think the industry, including us, has really risen to the requirement. I think we have reasonably good capability in terms of distribution infrastructure, both in terms of warehousing and in terms of temperature-controlled transportation. More infrastructure does need to be put in. I think all of us are expanding plans to put investments in place to expand their infrastructure. But I don't see that being a bottleneck. I think if the pace of vaccination picks up, the logistics industry will be in a position to support it.
And when we come through out of the pandemic, talk us about your further expansion plans, markets you're looking at, plans to electrify your fleet too.
Yeah, so I think post the pandemic, as we're coming out of the pandemic, we are seeing logistics industry in India transforming itself. Several things are happening. Firstly, a more favorable regulatory environment. India is still very informal in terms of the sector, so that regulatory environment promises to open up significant growth opportunity. We're also seeing growth in fulfillment logistics across the board, and companies densifying networks as they try to build more agility in their systems, and therefore significant growth in warehousing-based services and solutions. And lastly, just significant digitization across the value chain. So where we are investing is in all those areas. We are expanding our warehousing footprint across large and medium and small cities in India. Right, so we'll be adding significant capacity in that area. We are obviously investing a lot in digitizing our entire supply chain. Both in terms of enabling digitization in our individual services, but actually integrating them across the board. And the third one is actually in terms of re-engineering our processes using technology, so we can not just make them more efficient, but in the environment we are in, actually use technology to actually create safe workplaces as well. The fourth area which we are investing in significantly is electrification of our fleets, especially on the mobility and the last mile side. So we continue to invest in that and grow that. We believe the last mile, the future of last mile is electric in India, and there's an opportunity to lead that across the country. So we are expanding infrastructure in that part of our business quite significantly, both through our own assets and partner assets.
Very quickly, Rampraveen, on this question. I mean, India set a 2050 goal to be zero in terms of carbon, net zero, I should say. Are you working on that timeline as well, very quickly?
Yes, we have committed. The Mahindra Group is very focused on sustainability, and Mahindra Logistics, we have committed to carbon neutrality by 2040, actually. So we are working across our value chain in terms of how we can mitigate, our overall carbon footprint across our entire operations.
Now, I just want to get to this blockage in the Suez Canal, Rampraveen. You have a business, Lords, I believe it is, which, yes, of course, has this international container ship division, et cetera, et cetera. How are you seeing the fallout from that?
So I think we do have a lot. Freight forwarding, international freight forwarding is roughly 8% of our business, so fairly reasonably relevant to us. We have obviously seen, the impact which everyone in the press has reported as well, and the media has reported significant, some amount of delays and blockages, and the entire system clogging up. Most of our customers, though, actually are net importers from the rest of Asia, not necessarily from Europe and the US. So from an import perspective, we've not seen a significant impact on our business. But obviously on the export side, with the blockages, there are disruptions. I think hopefully it'll get sorted out fairly quickly, and we'll be able to come back to normalcy. But a grim reminder again about how integrated and fragile global supply chains are.
All right, just Rampraveen, very quickly, just wanted to ask you, I know you were talking earlier about the vaccine rollout and getting back on track, but with people working from home, the impact to your business there, when do you see a return to normalcy? What does normalcy look like in 2021?
Well, work from home it's a mixed bag. I think we must recognize that a lot of employers still work in manufacturing facilities, warehouses, and those are all pretty much operational. So work from home largely has impacted our employees who work in offices, and of course industries like IT and financial services, which have largely office-based workforce. For us, we have really been back, pretty much in our facilities for quite some time. In fact, I think that as of today, 85% of our employees are actually coming into facilities every day. I do think I personally believe it'll be 3 to 4 quarters before we actually see work from home really relax back across our country.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time. That was an exclusive interview with Rampraveen Swaminathan, MD and CEO of Mahindra Logistics Limited. Well, let's get more